So for those who don't know, a lot of hard of hearing individuals can be nervous, have anxiety speaking to a person like I used to do. I used to be nervous too. I used to be terrified coming on podcasts because I didn't even know if this is for me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Take 2 Minutes podcast. I'm your host and founder of Take2Minutes.org, Mark Fassel. Joining me this week is Kellina Powell. Kellina is a life coach, podcast speaker, and activist who loves to help people with disabilities on their journey to personal growth and educate others about the deaf community. Kellina is also a best-selling author of the book, Every Day I Am Just Deaf, available on Amazon. You can find Kellina on social media under the name Deaf Queen Boss. Kellina, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Good, good. Do you partake in quite a few podcasts, it sounds like, correct? Is this?
Yes, that's correct.
Good, good. So obviously I want to start with telling us a bit about yourself. I've read a little bit of your history, so why don't you tell my audience your history?
Yeah, definitely. For me, hi everybody. My name is Kellina Powell, like Mark had said. Thanks for the lovely introduction. And yeah, so I am a hard of hearing person. And some of you may be wondering a lot of questions like, how did Kellina become deaf? How is she on this podcast? So I get that a lot of questions all the time. So I actually became deaf at the age of 4. So this is where I learned how to communicate with people. And I realized not growing up was that there's not a lot of disability representation like me. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, especially being an author, international speaker, working with organizations. So yeah, just a little bit about me. I'm not going to take too much of your time, Mike.
And I actually, on the onset of this podcast, asked Kellina a few of those questions, such as, even because she is hard of hearing, how she hears me. And she has a Bluetooth hearing aid, and she has closed caption, which makes it where she can read and actually hear me. So that's beautiful. You are a disabilities advocate with a focus on the deaf community. How did you get, besides the obvious of you became deaf at 4, how did you get to where you are right now? What got you into the area of helping others?
So I honestly, what I did was to attend to a lot of podcasts during COVID time. So I actually started my business during COVID. I thought COVID was the perfect time to interact with people and network with people through podcasts. So I've been on 150 podcasts during COVID. Insane, I know. I was really like learning so much about different people, being a podcast, and eventually it slowly grew. My network grew. A lot of people referred me to different people. And as well, I attended to numerous of networking events online because we can't go anywhere during COVID. So it was perfect for me. And as well, I built my LinkedIn and my social media. And that's how I get to where I am today, just really building with people.
With 150 podcasts under your belt during COVID, I think you should be leading this podcast and not me. I think I should take your lead, it sounds like. You're much more of an expert than I am. That's great. Good for you.
Thank you.
On your website, which people can find you at KellinaEmpowerment.com, you talk about helping people with calm depression, anxiety, and building self-esteem. Can you talk about that a little bit and what some of your processes are?
Yeah, for sure. So when I focus on the positive psychology, I don't focus on the negative psychology. I feel like a lot of time, a lot of people don't like talking about trauma, right? Some of us just want to get to the finish line faster or just need help to get there. And I realized that for myself because I used to go to do counseling and therapy myself. And I realized that I said not what I want to talk about. And it's so draining for some people to talk about the trauma. And that's when I realized I wanted to focus on positive psychology instead of negative psychology. And it was just amazing because I realized when I'm talking to my clients, they're like, oh my God, like this is so much better than talking about my trauma because not everybody's comfortable. And so, yeah, so that's what I focus on, the positive psychology. And so I meet with clients once a week, really talking about what is the specific goal they want to achieve. So, for example, a client will come to me and say, Kellina, I want to talk about my anxiety. I want to improve, especially speaking with someone who's hearing. So for those who don't know, a lot of hard of hearing individuals can be nervous, have anxiety speaking to a person like I used to do. I used to be nervous too. I used to be terrified coming on podcasts because I didn't even know if this is for me. And so basically, I do meet with clients once a week. we do a worksheet. I also provide clients a worksheet for them to do when they're at home, because I don't want them to just come on a call and then that's it. I want them to do an activity outside of the call, especially with me. And as well, I also do a lot of varieties of different, like depression as well. It's a different work because it's a lot more hands-on and more homework to do. So that's what I do with the clients with every different mental health issue. So.
What kind of activities outside of the session do you like to assign or talk to people do? And I asked the question because obviously Take 2 Minutes has a lot of activities built in, but I always like to learn as I talk to people if I'm missing anything in Take 2 Minutes. What kind of activities do you like to, we'll say, prescribe or suggest people to do?
I love this activity so much. I actually make people go to the dollar store, grab a sticky note, write all positive affirmation on it, and put it on the mirror. In the bathroom mirror, the bedroom mirror, or the door mirror. You know, when people walk in, they have a mirror there. I make them stick it on there. My favorite activity. And every day when the client walks, they will stare. And that's my favorite thing to teach. And clients slowly understand how mindset can easily be shipped, because that's the whole point of I want to teach my clients is mindset could be easily shipped once you learn how to program it properly.
So if I heard that, I missed this part of it. It's basically a sticky note or some kind of note card that's taped to the mirror, which with a positive information or something, a positive thought, positive message, to make sure they see it repeatedly throughout the day and as they pass by that location, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. That's great. For positive psychology, something that I think helps a lot or works a lot is understanding gratitude. Within Take 2 Minutes, something that we do a lot is trying to get people to recognize gratitude. And there's many ways individuals can do it. And what I found, and I'm curious, this is going somewhere, is with the community that you help, if you find that people struggle more with recognizing gratitude. And I asked that question because I recognized on the onset of Take 2 Minutes that everyone, not everyone, a lot of people struggle with finding or recognizing gratitude. So if you give them ways or give them suggestions for the gratitude, it helps them become more recognizable of gratitude around them. So do you find that people you work with would have a hard time finding, like if I ask someone, if you asked one of your patients, think of something that happened yesterday you're grateful for, would they struggle with that, you think, or not?
Yes, they would, because they always think about the other thing that's in their life instead of the positive thing. And that's why I love talking about positive psychology, kind of trip that mindset. But there is a huge issue in terms of people finding that.
Yes. Take 2 Minutes has something that I do like. It's called a gratitude challenge. And the idea behind it is the system prompts you on things for which you should be grateful. And I'll give you an example. And when I wrote it all, I tried to make sure nothing could be triggering for people, even with disabilities. So one of the examples is the sun provides heat and light to the planet. Think of a reason why you are grateful for the sun. And there's 120 of these things. And the idea is it makes people think about common things in daily lives for which they could be grateful. And if they do that over the course of multiple days, or ideally 15 days to 20 days, they will then naturally start recognizing positive things around them. It's called priming. So they'll start actually recognizing things in their daily lives that they're grateful for, and they can then start a gratitude practice. And I think gratitude practices are great for the idea of positive psychology.
Yeah, 100%.
So in your line of work, and really even in your experiences, what are some misconceptions people have, you think, about the deaf community or people with hearing?
I would say the misconception that I get myself and the other disability is not having that consistent accommodation. So a lot of people tend to think they know how to accommodate us, but realistically they don't. And so a lot of people assume that this is the right thing to do instead of just acting. So that's the biggest deception that get a lot, is making sure that someone acts what the accommodation are required.
So can you give me an example?
Yeah, for example, I remember someone was trying to talk to me and they were moving their mouth open, kind of like make me look like I'm stupid. And so it's like, how are you? Like they do like the most with their mouth and move their face, and you're like, stop moving. Because when you move your face, I'm moving too because I'm trying to lip read. And a lot of times people don't know that a lot of the hard of hearing and deaf community, we all lip read. We need to see your lips in order to have a conversation. And that's why it's very important for people, do not open your mouth, do dramatic things with your mouth, because we will not follow the conversation. So
I know, and obviously we've talked about you have the hearing aid right now so you can hear me. And I think sometimes I probably fault in talking fast, which could be detrimental as well. Would you agree?
yeah, some people talk fast, but it's okay. I feel like it's normal to talk fast. So sometimes, like for me, I will let everyone know, hey, you're talking too fast for me. Can you slow down? And they're like, okay, no problem. So a lot of times people do speak fast. So
Good. So I'm always impressed and amazed when someone is able to write a book. Tell me about your book writing experience. It fascinates me because it takes quite discipline and generally a lot of time and determination to write the book. So what drove you to want to write a book? And tell me about the process you went through for writing your book.
I will ask you a question, okay, Mark?
Okay, yeah.
Have you ever read a book by a deaf author before?
By a deaf author, I have not. No.
That's why I did what I'm doing. It's because 90% of people I meet who are hearing, they all said to me, Kellina, you need to write a book. And I said, why? Right? I was freaking. I'm like, no way I will write a book. And everybody said, no. We never read a book by a deaf author. And I questioned myself and I said, holy, that's right. You guys never. And so 90% of people I interact with, network with, they said the same thing. And I said, oh my God, maybe it's just time for me to do my book. And that's why I choose to write my book, is because I really want to continue educate the hearing community and let the hearing community know that it doesn't matter what someone faced or the struggle, we all can accomplish anything in life. So that was the reason why I wrote my book. Just that simple question. No, you haven't. So, and the process of my book, to be honest, you guys better be so surprised. I actually wrote my book within 2 or 3 months because I had COVID twice. So I was locked in my room for 2 or 3 months. And so I was like super bored. And I actually wrote my book within 2 or 3 months.
Really? So just because you had COVID, you're able to pump out a book. That's fascinating. Your book is, I'm assuming, I don't want to assume, that's my question is going to be about this, but I'm assuming your book is about you and your journey of being deaf, since it's every day I'm just deaf. But can you talk without giving away the secret sauce of your book and making people want to go and buy it, a little bit more about your book, what's in it?
Definitely. So my book is a very cute poetry book. So it's not a chapter book. It's very poetry. I love poems. I know some people do not like reading chapter books. And so I said, let me just make this book super short and easy flowing for people to read and understand. And that's the whole purpose of my book. It's very short. And my honesty, what you're going to get out of my book is to really know that you are not alone in this world. Whether you're deaf or not, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all going through the same thing that we don't know, right? Closed doors, you never know what people really truly go through unless you really, go out there, have your stuff out there. So that's really what my book is really about.
Wonderful. I very well might buy a copy and read it now that we've had this discussion. I'm very interested. Do you find... Are most of your clients also deaf? Do you help people with other disabilities also? Are you attracting a diversity of people?
Yeah, I'm attracted to different diversity of people. Yeah, not just disability community.
So what else? What other kind of people do you think you're able to help who might be listening to this?
I can definitely help with young adults from age 15 to 38, those who are women of color, and those who are disabilities, and those who currently need support, especially high school students who are graduating, right? That's a big issue that I'm seeing. A lot of clients are coming to me because they're graduating. They don't know what to do. They don't have resources or no guardian.
So tell me more about your approach when coaching someone. Your focus is guiding and supporting people with disabilities to try different tools to reach their fullest potential. But what strategies do you employ besides positive psychology? What else are you doing?
So what else I'm doing is obviously supporting resources for clients. And I don't do it myself because I do want the client to be independent themselves. It's very important that we teach clients how to be independent because if we don't, the client's going to rely on us. So a lot of times clients need to learn how to be independent. How do I find different things? How do I find, like, for example, a job, right? A client came to me asking for a job, but I'm not a job career person, but I help the client in terms of how to be independent. How do I get myself out there? What are tools that we can practice, that me and the client, we can practice job interviews so that the client can understand what to expect. So that's what I do outside positive psychology. So
For being a life coach, are you finding most of your clients through social media or is it word of mouth? I mean, when I do a search on your name, you come up top most and first. So I think you've made a name for yourself. Are people finding you pretty well now?
yeah, so I'm all over the place. People find me through like podcasts, people find me through my book, mouth, email, like it's a lot. So it's like a big combination of everything. So
You find it difficult to keep all of your activities organized? Do you have assistants or you're able to do it all on your own?
I actually have a team and I have a system, so that's way too much. That's way too much for me to do by myself. I would literally no, I would not be awake right now, to be honest with everyone.
With regards to your clients, do you find...
No, go ahead, Dai.
No, say with regards to your clients, do you treat each one differently as far as what their needs are, or do you have a process you try to follow besides positive psychology, or is each one is it more of like a counseling and therapy session where you understand what their needs are and you just start working with them from there?
So I actually go through a process first just to figure out what is it they need from me so that I'm not wasting my time or their time because I really do value people's time. And then once I figure out what they really need from me and what they're struggling with, and then we'll take it from there.
Good. Can you share a success story from your coaching?
Yeah, for sure. So I did have one client, super amazing. She had an anxiety in terms of expressing herself. She didn't know how to express herself, and this is where it caused her to be developing anxiety when she's with new people, especially when she's at work. And I remember we had to do an activity, and it was very uncomfortable for her to do because she never had to do an activity with a counselor before. So for her to do it with me, it was a very big wall, I would say, for her in the very beginning. She didn't want to do it. And so I just give her an example of, let's make it simple. So what I did was I made her draw a circle of herself and write her name and just big circle. And if you would draw a line to people that are very toxic to her versus people that are healthy to her, to understand why she's getting this anxiety, who makes her feel like this. And she'd explain it, she visually sees it, and she didn't realize that these people were hurting her inside, and that's what triggered her, especially when you're talking to someone super new. You don't know what to expect because you're so used to your little circle, your friend, and you don't realize until you visually see it yourself. And for me and her to see it together, and she was like, oh my God, like I didn't realize this person was toxic for me. And I think that's why my anxiety acts up when I'm talking to someone similar to this situation. And so it's very funny because she thought she wouldn't visually see it because she thinks it's just drawing. And I was like, no, we're going to work on it. So we, step by step, we went through each person to understand who what triggered her, what can she do better to improve a better healthy relationship with people. So she would develop an also healthy relationship. So it leads to a lot of like up and down. So it was very cool for her to see it, but she realized in the end that she was not a problem. And she realized it was just the people she surrounded herself with. So sometimes we get so caught up in our struggles and we don't realize that they're not healthy for us. And sometimes it's hard to come out because you don't know, right? So that was the success story, and she realized, and now she's doing amazing, actually. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful story because you are correct. If you surround yourself with toxic people, it's difficult to get yourself into a positive space. You might even recognize that, but surrounding yourself with positive people or people who influence you in a positive way can help your mental well-being, definitely.
Exactly.
So on your onset or prior to COVID and prior to doing all these podcasts, did you have anxiety yourself?
I did in the very beginning, just because Zoom didn't have closed caption, and I was super nervous because I didn't know how it's gonna hear. And I was like, okay, you know what? Yes, there's a little voice in the back of my head saying don't do it. And then there's something, and I have another voice in my head that you can do it. It's gonna be the best time of your life. And I faced it, and I took a deep breath before I even went on the podcast. I take a big deep breath. I was like, I got this. I got this. Just pretend. And I kept doing self-talk, like a positive self-talk to myself before I doing it. Like literally like 15 minutes before, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do great. And then I killed it afterwards. And then now we're just naturally coming. So
Nice. So positive self-talk is obviously something that's very big for you, and it's a great thing. What else do you do to help with anxiety when you do have it, or in the past when you did have it? What other activities, breathing exercises, or anything else you found that helped you?
yes, I do a lot of quiet activities like breathing activities, yoga. I try my best to try to find like a class that I can do, like outside the house. I feel like when you are with other people and people can relate and network, and like it could be like a gym activities, like that had yoga class session, or even those spa places. They sometimes have those quiet activities. It's really cool, but that's what I do. Yeah.
Yoga is, I believe yoga is great. It's something I got into easily 12 years ago, and it goes through ebbs and flows for me. There's times when I don't make enough time for myself to do yoga, and I can tell when I don't. I start feeling a little bit less limber and have more aches and pains. And so I always try to get back into yoga. But I think yoga is a beautiful thing. And I've also found for me that if I kind of combined, and this maybe I don't think I'm inventing anything. I think it's just something I don't know about that I created in my mind. But when I do yoga, there's certain poses I do where I'll try to hold it, and I'll try to do a short meditation in that pose to help just calm myself. And so I'll hold the pose for maybe 30, 40, 50 seconds while just focusing on my breathing. So it's kind of a combination of a little bit of meditation with the yoga pose. And I found that I just love that because it calms me. It helps, become more limber and loosen your joints, and just makes me feel much better.
I love that. I hear some people do that too. They said they do, while they're doing yoga, they do a little gratitude meditation, all of that thing. And I would say, I am not a flexible person, so I need to focus on being flexible. So I tried, but my God, this is too hard. I need to be flexible right now.
Yeah, the flexibility comes after time. It takes a while, and I'm not saying I'm even terribly flexible. I always wish I was more flexible. I think no matter how flexible I've gotten doing yoga, I'm always like, I wish I was more flexible. That's what it's all about, is trying to push yourself a little bit to do better, more and more. It looks like you do public speaking or speaking opportunities too. Are you able to go and present in front of audiences as well?
Yes, I travel a lot as well. So I do have a big presentation literally in 2 days for a deaf school in Canada, which I'm super excited about. I actually did speak with Ontario audiologists and Indiana State University as well. I did 2 courses over there. So, yeah.
Wow. So you travel and speak in front of people in addition to your coaching, in addition to your podcast. So you definitely are busy. You have a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your favorite way of reaching out to people? You prefer it on Instagram, another social media? Do you like trying to just do LinkedIn? How do you like to get notes and words out to your followers?
I honestly love LinkedIn just because it's much more professional, and it's not like social media like Instagram where you just meet your fans and then I feel like LinkedIn is just more professional. You're able to connect with people a lot more on the business level, especially the way how you want to connect with people.
It's your LinkedIn profile right now, so that's good. What else do you think we should talk about for my viewers to gain an understanding of what you do to help people with disabilities?
I also do courses right now. I'm actually creating my own courses. I'm super excited. I'm going to be doing like a bunch of breakdown in terms of coaching someone with a disability and as well real estate agents. There's a lot of real estate agents don't know how to accommodate someone who have a disability. So I'm going to be doing that work just because my family also own a real estate company and they don't know. And a lot of times they keep asking me like, how do we accommodate this person? I'm like, okay. So that's when my aunt actually told me like I should do a course on this, and I was like, oh my god, that's such a great idea. And but yeah, I also it doesn't really like I love what I do. I am super passionate what I do, and if you are someone who is very curious to know how can you accommodate someone, how you can advocate for somebody, definitely reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a chat. I don't bite.
You're very friendly, definitely very friendly. When do you think the courses will be ready?
I try to get it ready by September-ish. And just because there's so many things going on this summer, so I'm really trying to have fun, but also try to do my business work. So,
And the courses, if I caught it correctly, are going to be helping others understand how to work with people with disabilities. And I think you focused on the real estate area, but it's also outside of real estate too, correct?
yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else listeners should know about you or your offerings? I want to make sure we don't miss anything.
I do have an offer. I have two coaching package. So the first one is for those who are very brand new to coaching, who had no idea what to expect. So I really do have affordable, great coaching business for those who are just starting with me. And secondly, I do have an event, one, those who have a counseling before, who did not feel like it did not work for them. So I do have an event coaching for those who already have that experience.
And I was looking at your pricing. You actually have a package just for high school students. So we haven't touched on that at all. I think this is very important because I do think quite often there's less options for people who are in their young teens sometimes. So why don't you talk about what you do for people who are in the young adults who are high schoolers?
So what I do, right, I do a variety of things with high school. I love working with high school, but I just haven't really talked about so much with the high school kids because I'm actually partnership with a lot of schools right now. So I've been so busy with them and the high school kids and mentoring with them. So with my coaching package, I actually provide them resume. I love resume. I love writing resume. I do not know why. And so I help with high school students to find a path, really. And so what I do is we go through like career breakdown. What is it they want to do? How can we achieve that? Are there scholarships? How do I apply for school? A lot of high school students don't feel comfortable going to their parents, to be honest. What I'm seeing now, it's a lot of numbers. They don't feel comfortable. They're like, I don't want my parents to see this. I just want to do this for me. And, a lot of pressure from families, right? I'm the first generation in my family that went to university. And it was a lot of me, right? A lot of pressure. So having that support system, picture me had the high schooler guiding counselor. I'm guiding them to how to apply for school. What can they do? And so, yeah, that's what I do.
I think that's great. Take 2 minutes. It has activities for high schoolers, but sometimes I think that when you're talking about like gratitude and recognizing gratitude, I question if that's more difficult for a high schooler than it is for someone in their 20s or 30s or 40s. It's probably a newer activity to them or something that doesn't resonate as well sometimes, I think, with that age group.
Yeah, 100%. It's very difficult for them because they're already thinking about so many things in their own life and they don't know what to take the first step, right? They don't know. They're like, okay, I'm graduating high school. Where am I going now? So
Right.
It's a lot of more activities with them than gratitude and meditation. It's more way active activity with the high school.
Yes. Beautiful, Kellina. So anything else you'd like to plug before we wrap?
I just wanted to say, please don't feel like you are not achieving enough, especially your goals. I just want to say tomorrow is not a promise. Life is too short. keep chasing that dream of yours.
I love that. That's beautiful. And again, you can find Kellina on Instagram, Deaf Queen Boss, LinkedIn for Kellina Powell, or from her website, which is KellinaEmpowerment.com. I appreciate you being on here. It was wonderful to hear from you and hear what you're doing to help people. I truly always am happy when I talk to others who are just trying to help people, because that is the mission of Take 2 Minutes, and everything I've done is just trying to find ways to help people. And the beauty is, and I've said this many times, there's no one way that works for everybody. So it takes a team of people like yourself and others who are trying to help to get the assistance out that's needed by many people.
I agree. Thank you.
I appreciate you being on here. Thank you again. Thanks for listening. I hope you found that discussion helpful and interesting. If there are any topics you would like to hear discussed, head over to take2minutes.org and use the Contact Us form to submit your suggestions. Also, if you appreciate our content, sign up for an account at take2minutes.org. Subscriptions help us to continue generating new content. Thanks again.